Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us here this evening for the city council meeting scheduled for tonight at 6 p.m. here on April the 14th. And I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. With that, I would like to, as we always do, ask those here in the council chamber to please rise with me, and I will lead us in an invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day and this opportunity once again to come together as it is as the Murphysboro City Council. We're very thankful for all of the blessings we have in this nation and in this state and in this community. We just continue to pray prayers of protection over all of us as we go through this epidemic. We particularly pray for those people that are working in the healthcare industry and in our retail stores and all the city employees and staff who continue to provide the services that we need. We would just pray that the wisdom that is in your mind would be in ours this evening as we make these critical decisions for the city of Murphysboro. In your holy name we pray. Amen. And now I'll lead us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with that being said, I believe, Clerk Hunziker, that you essentially have the role taken through our earlier announcement of people on the line,
I
correct?
do. Everyone's here.
Okay, good. So we have all the members of the city council with us this evening. So with that being said, we'll go into our items on the agenda tonight. We have the consideration of council minutes from March the 24th, 2020 as included in your packet. I would entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes at this time. And I would remind aldermen that when they make a motion, if they could state their name, and then state your name if you're going to second a motion, it will help Clerk Hunziker greatly in taking the minutes.
Gary McComb, I'll make a motion to second minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
Purvis,
McComb.
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion from McComb, a second from Purvis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, and forgive me, I have done this in past meetings, but I'll be calling for mostly roll call votes for the rest of these. It was just a force of habit on that first one. And so we'll be doing that as we go forward. Up next is the consideration of accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll registers. I believe there was an additional register added late today, and so I'd entertain any questions on the bills at this time.
This is Pearson. I have a couple just explanations, mostly on D99, page 2. Roles. HRA services, what is that?
You said that was on page 2, Alderman Pearson?
Yes, list 899.
The HRA services are for our health reimbursement account.
Okay, I've forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
I have one more.
Go ahead.
All right. I gotta find it here. I had it over here a minute ago. On Southern Illinois Healthcare, same list, 899, on page 13, Sandra has Jonathan Hopkins and Joe Elbert for Southern Illinois Healthcare. Are those physicals? Or I know those are both new employees.
Yes, those are new hire physicals.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Other questions on the bills?
Yeah, this is Gloria, and I'm on the same list, page 5, and that is a phone of mine for 97785. I'm just curious, where do we have signed? Your sign?
Gloria, you're talking about the $977.85
That is correct.
Those would be signs for the street department. We have a machine where we can print signs, and I'd say those are sign blanks in the posts that they go on for no parking and things like that.
Thank you so much.
Alderman Bratton, have a question?
Yes, Mr. Bratton?
Okay, on the same account, page 11, I know that, on the River Radio, we agreed to pay the ads for football and basketball, but since now those are both out of season now, are we still, is that a year-round payment, or what is that?
I'm not exactly sure, so I would say that we should pay the bills, but hold that particular check, and then I can do some more research on it and report back at the next meeting.
Okay, that'll be fine, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions on the accounts payable?
Make a motion to pay the bills other than the one day, any question? Alderman Combs.
Alderman Hughes, I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. McComb, a second from Ms. Hughes. Clerk Hunziker, go ahead and call the roll on that, please.
Alderman Hughes. Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Torrey Witzman.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Pearson.
Yes.
Alderman McComb.
Yes.
Alderman Urbis.
Yes.
Alderman Bratton.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos.
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
Thank you very much. That takes us to our regular committee and commission reports. And up first, we have Budget and Finance, chaired by Mr. W.J. Pittman. And under Budget and Finance, up first, we have the consideration of financial reports presented by Scott Evans. Scott, do you want to go ahead and work through those financial reports, please?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Certainly can.
Due to the constraints of, I'll be brief on this. We do want to point out that you'll notice the sales tax was up nicely in April, which of course represented January sales, so, in fact, it was the nicest April we've had on our list, so that's a good thing, heading into uncertainty, for the next few months, to have a good start. So I would say that. The other thing I would mention isn't necessarily on the reports. It's just that today I noticed that our video gaming tax for the month of March, which would be really the first effect we would see from the shutdown, did indeed drop. It had been averaging somewhere around 9,000 or 10,000 a month, but when March had to be closed for part of the month, our video gaming tax was around 6,000. So we did see a $3,000 or $4,000 drop in that particular tax, and I expect that to happen this time next month when we have April's video gaming tax should be almost nothing, I suspect, because most of all the establishments were closed the whole month. So that would be the first indication we would have in a drop in revenue would be this tax. And so we won't know what our effect on their sales tax is going to be until we get our June allotment. That would be the March sales. And so we'll stay tuned for that. And that's really all I have on the report. But if you have any questions on the report that are in your packet, please let me know.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Evans, for those reports. Appreciate that very much. The next item under Budget and Finance is an item that I have tried to make contact with all the aldermen in advance of the meeting tonight about. It is the consideration of the Murphysboro Economic Relief COVID-19 event, which is an acronym to be pronounced MERCY. We've seen a number of different programs federal and state level, the payroll protection program, the hospitality grant, the downstate stabilization grant, and all of those things I think are doing something to help business and individuals cope with the economic effects of the COVID-19 outbreak. I've had a number of people reach out to me and ask if the city was doing anything. And of course, we've been helping coordinate those grant applications for people, particularly for the downstate stabilization program. Through that conversation, I asked Scott Evans and Sandra Ripley to see if there was anything that could be done at the city level to try to support our small business community as they fight through this COVID-19 impact and the economic issues from it. And so they have worked very diligently and put together this plan. And I would turn it over at this point to Scott Evans to talk a little bit about this plan and where the money is coming from and how we can justify putting this together financially. Scott, would you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. So, as we have discussed on many occasions, we know that our businesses are a lifeblood for the health of our city government in the form of mostly sales tax and other tax too. So, when they are in desperate trouble, then we as a city are too. So that was the genesis of our discussions on this. And so what we decided was that a pool of money that we have available that could fund something such as this would be our business revolving loan and the rehab loan funds. They currently have available cash of around $38,000. That's not committed to a CD or anything of that nature at this point. And frankly, we've been struggling for quite a few years to loan that money out, and we really wish we had lots of notes receivables that are going into businesses and being used by them and paying us back, but that just hasn't happened. So, but fortunately, we have had good success in collecting those past loans, and therefore we have this cash available. So, this would not be, taking money out of budget lines or anything of that nature. This would be, a pool of money that we have earmarked in some fashion to help our city in some way or another, and we'd be utilizing that money to fund this program.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. The program itself, I emailed out the details, and I believe some of you got the details delivered to you in a hard copy today also, would essentially allow a business to turn in a rent payment, a lease payment, a mortgage payment, a property or casualty payment, or utility payment that they have already paid to the city with a loan grant ceiling of about $1,000, and we would then essentially issue a check to the business for that amount, and then the loan would be 90% forgivable. So if we say somebody had a $1,000 bill, they would essentially have to pay us back $100 over the course of up to 12 months time. So it would be a $900 grant in one sense. And I think this is something that would set Murphysboro apart. I don't know that anybody else in the area is doing this, and would show our commitment to those who help grow our tax base. So I won't go on much more about it, but I'm sure there are some questions that people may have, and so happy to take those or comments at this time.
Well, this is Gary.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to compliment whoever thought this up and put it together. And it is something that could help maybe one of our small businesses survive. And I want to appreciate whoever all put this together to do it, and thank them. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, Alderman McComb.
Mayor, this is Dan Bratton.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for calling me earlier and speaking to me about this and going over this. I just wonder, with the $38,000 that would help 38 businesses. And that part of it is fine. My concern is, and I think I briefly brought that up, we don't know where we're gonna be in 3 months from now where the sales tax comes in the period of the last 30 days and however long this thing lasts. So I've got a suggestion. I don't wanna be the bad person, but just sometimes even a stupid, suggestion will spur one of you brilliant minds to come up with something better. I'm thinking more of a 60 to 75% forgiveness. That would still leave us some more money in there that if somebody else needed help later on, or somebody like the bocce ball place comes up and wants to borrow money, that we would still have some funds in there. So, like to have the input of the rest of the council on that, and yours also, Mayor. I think that's something that we ought to consider this rather than 90%.
I think one thing, and I understand what you're saying about trying to make the money go further. One thing that I don't know that I made clear was that this grant would be a situation where an individual address or an individual business would turn in one bill, and so they would turn in whatever that singular big bill would be, let's say a mortgage payment for $750, and so not every participant is necessarily going to be participating up to the max $1,000. So I think we would, in that structure, be able to stretch the money out a little further than just to 38 individual businesses. So that may help to add a little bit more clarity to what is maybe not clear in what was handed out earlier.
Yeah, that
And if I could add,
does help. That does help, and that does clarify that. But, that still doesn't address the 90% versus 60 to 75% forgiveness.
Understood. Thank you very much, Mr. Bratton. Is there other feedback from the council?
This is Bill, Mayor, and Council, Pearson. I don't really have a problem with the 90%. I understand Danny's thing, but, one of my questions is, if they own 3 or 4 properties in town with a mortgage payment of $750 or whatever on each building, will they turn in a bill for each building, or will there be a max for each person that submits a bill? In other words, some people could get maybe $3,000, and other people, that would deplete the fund in a hurry by just maybe 2 or 3 people. So are we doing it per business or per building that they might have a mortgage on, or per individual business person?
The way it is set up is there'll be one application per physical address will be considered, and I think one thing that we reserve the right, in the language, the council reserves the right to reject any application due to incomplete paperwork, lack of funds, non-compliance. It says some other things. I think you bring up a good point, but the way it's set up right now is one application per physical address.
Okay.
Mayor, this is WJ.
Yeah, Mr. Pittman.
One question that I had was, so if a person owns multiple businesses with separate addresses, would they be able to apply for each business, or are we doing individual only?
Well, that's a good question. I think the reason that we phrased it the way we did, one application per physical address, was we were thinking about if I owned a building, say, and my tenant there was paying me rent, and then there I was turning that rent around and paying the mortgage. I wouldn't want the tenant to turn in an application to pay their rent and the building owner to turn in an application to pay their mortgage. We would be just covering one of those costs. I guess I would look to Ms. Ripley or Mr. Evans if they want to chime in here, or anybody else, as they were involved in the crafting of it with responses to those, because to be honest, right now, I don't know that I have a good answer to clarify those questions. They're good questions, but I don't know that I have good answers.
Well, if I could add to this, I think there probably is some merit to the idea of saying, okay, you know, you as a business owner, if you have more than one business or more than one location, then you would be limited to just the one allotment. It seems like it would be unfair for someone to gather 2 or 3 different checks and somebody else wouldn't get anything, I suppose.
Mayor,
This is Gloria.
Brad, and I have a question.
Yes, we'll go to Mr. Bratton and then go to Ms. Campos.
Okay, if, you have the owner of the building and then you have a tenant, who is going to have the priority of being able to get this loan? Is it gonna be the tenant who turns in a bill for the rent, or is it gonna be the owner of the building who turns in a receipt of payment on a loan?
The way that we have this structured is that these are gonna be considered in a first come, first served basis. And they would be coming in via email. So if a tenant sent in an application for rent, and they had not coordinated or communicated with their building owner, and then the building owner sent in an application for their mortgage, we would consider the application that came in first and not consider the application that came in second for the same address.
Well,
Here is my
would that be fair though, if the tenant is making a payment to the landlord and cannot be opened, and then the landlord receive the rent from the tenant and then also get the grant from the city?
Well, questions of fairness are sometimes hard to answer. I certainly understand where you're coming from, but as it is set up at this very moment, that is the way that it will be handled. Ms. Campos, did you have something?
Yeah, and somehow the question is similar to what they were asking about the tenant and the renter, and even though they are 2 different entities, you know, the landlord rents food, but also the renter has to pay the rent and hold, you know, support it or move on with their business. So how does it go? There is 2 different business and the same location, 2 different employer, or in the sole proprietor, but one fiscal asset.
No, I think that's a good point, and I'm making some notes here about these various questions, because I think these questions are gonna have to be addressed in a sort of conference between myself, Sandra and Scott, and perhaps Mr. Pittman as Chair of Budget and Finance, to work through these and try to refine our process here a little bit. And it's the reason why we tried to refine it as much as we could before we brought it to the meeting, inevitably knowing that there would be some more refining that might have to be done. Mr. Pittman, did you want to share something?
Yeah, my suggestion would be in an instance like this, if you are going to allow the landlord of a commercial space where the tenant is also a business and would be eligible, if the landlord is going to get that money and for a mortgage, that they provide a letter of forgiveness for that month's rent or whatever that's signed by them and their tenant maybe. I mean, that way but the tenant would also be eligible in other aspects because they could still then apply for a utility payment or something other than their rent, you know? I don't know, it's definitely, there's lots of ways that it could go.
It would seem to me that
Mayor,
many of these situations might be handled as the various applications came in, just through communication with the tenant landlord situation. I mean, we know many of these people, maybe not all, but ultimately it is good to remember that have the discretion, as a, unit of municipal government to, meet this out, as we saw fit to some extent. Mr. Urvis, did I hear you chiming in?
Yeah, kind of following up on what WJ was saying, like say the landlord applies first and asks for money to pay their loan, and, the business owner would have utilities and insurance payments and things like that that would be separate and apart from that would seem to be something that, should maybe be available. Um, Also looking at the terms for rejecting it, we really don't have a kind of a catch-all. It says incomplete paperwork, lack of funds, non-compliance with city codes, indebtedness to the city, so there's really not a sort of catch-all provision that we could reject the application for.
I think that's a great point, John, and I think that's something that can be added to the, language to help us, better handle those, situations.
Mayor, this is Alderman Hughes. This is Jan.
I think I heard Alderman Hughes chime in first, and then we'll go to, Ms. Curry Whitson.
Okay, thank you. I do have a question about, and I think WJ brought this up to a certain extent, but I didn't really understand. Okay, let's say John Doe has two businesses that he needs income for both of them. Would he be eligible for $1,000 for each business, or is it $1,000 per business or per person?
The way the application is drawn up currently, it would be, you could turn in one application per physical address. And so if you had a building with 3 tenants in it, the first application to come in from that address would be the, application that we processed and considered, and all other applications that came in from that same physical address would not be considered.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that when I read that, but thank you.
Well, that's great.
Yes, Mr. McComb.
Yeah, now these loans are gonna go out, it's gonna go through the mayor and the city council, right?
That's correct.
Well, we should try to help everybody that we can help, but we're gonna look at these, and we may not get that many of them, but we're gonna look at them, and we decide if this guy's already got one for this building, and this other person don't, and we can give the other person one and this guy one, and wait till the end to see if this guy gets another one.
Right, so, there would certainly be a process to, considering these applications as they came in. It seems to me that we've raised enough good questions that we need to go back and revise this outline to some extent. And then, we can either, we're going to have a public hearing, in order to consider some action on the downstate stabilization grant program. And, perhaps we can join into that, some action concerning the revision of this consideration. And I can coordinate and speak with each one of the aldermen individually about their concerns and try to get this thing, hammered out in a little bit, better shape than it's in right now.
Well, do you think we need to move forward with the application?
Well, what I would like to see us do is approve the allocation of the money for a program contingent upon the, revisions agreed to by the city council after they're made. Some of the things that we're able to do now under this situation, meeting via teleconference, and, the waiving of some of the, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, the Open Meetings Act requirements can allow us to act on this a little bit quicker. But I would like to have a motion at least, approving the reallocation of this money toward this program pending adjustments.
Well, I'd make that motion.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Purvis, or motion from Mr. McComb, a second from Mr. Purvis, and I'll turn it over to Clerk Hunziker to, call the roll.
You guys, I wanted to chime in
Oh,
before you guys got to that point.
excuse me, Janice, forgive me, I forgot to get back to you, go ahead.
It's okay. I was just gonna say, in my opinion, I feel like it's back to the mortgage and the renter. If both people apply, I'm of the opinion that either there needs to be some type of stipulation that the mortgage owner, if that person applies and offers the forgiveness, then that forgiveness needs to also be passed down to the renter. But if both apply, I feel like the forgiveness should be given to the renter first, because the whole point is to keep the businesses going in town, right? So if the renter can pay their bills, then the owner should be able to pay their mortgage.
Yeah, that certainly follows logically, I can see what the point you're making, Janice, is a good one.
So I thought when we first started talking.
Just wanna make sure that if, Mr. Evans, did you have something to add?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and I believe I was getting ready to call, for a vote. Ms. Hunziker.
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Curry Winston.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Pearson.
Yes.
Alderman McComb.
Yes.
Alderman Purvis.
Yes.
Alderman Bratton.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos.
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
All right, well, what I will do is I will get with, Ms. Ripley, Mr. Evans, and Mr. Pittman, and we will try to include, and I will do some emailing as well, to include the questions and the points that have been brought up into some revisions, and if we need to host another, meeting just to consider this item, we can certainly do that here in the next, 5 or 6 days and do the proper notice and everything we need to. I don't want to rush past it too far, and so I'm willing to continue to talk about it now. Is there any other questions that anyone has?
I would like to add something, Will.
Sure, go ahead.
I'd like to add something. I think the need for this money is fairly immediate, from a small business standpoint. Obviously, we want to make sure we've got our T's crossed and I's dotted, but I would rather spend time and make the application process as thorough as possible and the approval process faster. Meaning that if we set the stipulations right in the application, whether it's giving you the authority or you and Scott the authority, to approve that based on those stipulations, that the person's able to get a check without them having to wait for the next council meeting to find out if they're approved and then wait, I'd rather them be able to get the money in their hands as fast as possible. Obviously leaving the discretion for you guys, whoever is set to make those approvals, to be able to take them to the council if there's one that they're not comfortable with,
Well, I agree with that, Jay. It's the fact that this is unprecedented times. We've seen a $2 trillion push from the federal level, and it's just unbelievable. And so this is sort of an unprecedented action at the city level as well. And, being able to get that money in people's hands as quickly as possible is important. I don't ever want to try to appear that I'm trying to circumvent the council's review, but I would certainly think that with, mine and Sandra and Scott's review, and perhaps yourself as the chair of budget and finance could, make those, approvals fairly quickly as they came in. Are you wanting to make a motion to some, effect there, WJ, or?
No, not really. I'm just saying, I think we should spend enough time getting the application process, set up that we're comfortable with it, and then let it do its work. You know, if we're comfortable enough with the application and that process, we shouldn't necessarily have to see every approval as long as it can be proven that they have met all the requirements in the application.
All right, thank you very much, for that, Mr. Pittman.
Mayor, and Howard,
Yes, Mr. Heller.
you said, something very correct a few moments ago, and that is, if we have a little more discussion of this among a designated group that's working on WJ's committee here, come together with a little more finite proposal, call a conference call special meeting addressing only this item, and then you'll be in good shape. I think. I would say that your thought process there, if you would focus on that, you could do that within 7 days.
Well, I think it's a good, way to move forward as we make sure that we don't go out with a unfinished product. And so we'll plan on that. We'll plan on working on this a little bit more, and then, calling a special meeting, probably sometime in conjunction to some extent with the public hearing we're gonna have to do with the others, just to consolidate people's time. But that's the plan that I think we should do moving forward. And if there's no other objections to that, then we can move on to the rest of the, items on the agenda.
Well, this is Alderman Pearson. I do, once you get the form finalized and we vote on it, I have no problem with you, Scott, or WJ and Sandra making the final decision on who gets the thing. I don't think the council has to approve each and every one of them. I trust all four of you people to be smart enough to make the right decision about who's going to get what. So I would be in favor of drawing up the proposal, all of us approving it, and then letting you guys make the final decision on who gets the money and how it's distributed. Just my 2 cents worth.
I appreciate that vote of confidence, and I'm sure the others do as well. Thank you.
Is Bill making that motion?
I don't think he was making it as a motion. I think he was just, suggesting it, but.
I'm not sure we even need a motion for it, but
Yeah, I would say.
we've done that sort of thing in the past.
All right, well, we'll work toward that goal. All right, if there's nothing else on that item, then, I will move on into the other, items here. WJ Pittman, you're chair of this committee, and I sort of stepped on the normal process of handing it over to you. Do you have anything else you want to say, on this committee?
Nope, I've got nothing else that's really else.
All right, is there any public comment? Do we have anyone on the line who wishes to give public comment on this item? All right, hearing none, we'll come out of that and we'll go to, Building and Grounds, chaired by Mr. Gary McComb. Gary, I do have an update on the MYRC, doors.
That's good, cause I don't know how they're gonna get in there to put them in because it hadn't been open, but go ahead with your, update, Mayor, please.
I did speak with, Joe Fry and with, Don Brewer, and, the Park District has okayed, what we had proposed at the last meeting, which I believe was splitting the cost of putting the doors in. And so, since they had, okayed that, our motion at the last meeting was to move forward if the Park District was good with it, and they are. So I contacted, Joe Fry today and told him to coordinate with, K. Fager Contracting to move forward with, getting those doors put in.
Okay, appreciate that. all under old business. New business, we have nothing. Is there anybody on here that has a public comment? Hearing none, Mayor, I guess we come out building and ground.
Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that. That takes us to Community Relations, chaired by Mr. John Urbis. John?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business, and we have no new business. Is there any public comment? Community relations. Guess we can move to the next.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Urbis. That takes us to Public Improvement, chaired by Mr. Mike Bastian. Alderman Bastian, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Under public improvement, we have no old business. We have no new business. Do we have anybody on the line for public comment? With that being said, we can move on to public works.
Thank you very much, Alderman Bastian. That takes us to Public Works, chaired by Mr. Dan Bratton. Dan?
Under the old business, we have an update on the railroad cleanup and the damage to Shoemaker Drive. I don't know what the update would be on the cleanup, but I made a trip down and looked. I guess I'm not looking at the right place because I really didn't see any damage on Shoemaker Drive that was brought up before, so maybe I can get with somebody that knows where the damage is at so I can see that.
Danny?
Mayor, do you have enough? Hello?
Yeah, this is Alderman McComb.
Yeah.
So what they did down there, they drove that steel track hole and the railroad tracks right down Shoemaker, and at one time they had the little pits in it where we could cross it, and went did. I don't know if it's still like that or not, if, you know, the heat has let it expand back or what, but we can look at it.
Okay. Just get with me when it's convenient for you, Gary.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
Okay.
Danny, this is John. I was the one that
Yes.
brought it up, and I talked to Eric. The part that I was talking about was really not the new surfacing we did, but from there sort of up to the curve. That section is really looks like it's been torn up more so than just would be the winter weather. And I think Eric was going to go look at it actually this afternoon, maybe.
Okay, I'll check with him then. I appreciate that.
And I did go down there right before the meeting, and I'll have to admit, John, I have not looked at, Shoemaker Drive as close as I did just now, and it is cracked. But I don't know if it was that way before.
Well, I believe that we ought to, do everything we can to make sure that we do get reimbursed, because I know for a fact, I saw with my own eyes that big equipment was being driven on that road, and so I don't know how we prove what was done where, but certainly something to continue to pursue.
Okay. Moving on, we'll go to the update on the closure of the storage yard.
Mr. Bratton, I thought I heard somebody else wanting to add something else to the other previous agenda item.
Yeah, it was Eric again. I did talk to the, project manager on site, and he did say that they would probably be completely finished with that project in about a month. That is the fence, all the planting of the trees, so they would be out of there.
Did he give any sense as to their willingness or their budgetary, sometimes they work into budgets, things like that, like, contingencies for damage in and around the adjacent properties. Did he say anything about that?
He did not. I did bring it up to him about damage, but we didn't go in depth. I wanted to get more information, talk to John before I said anything else to him.
All right, thank Yes, Mr. Heller.
Mayor, it would be good if you would, if there's a possibility of a problem in the claim, that the street department would make a special look at the question, take pictures, gather the data that we need if we're gonna have a claim for repair.
All right, well, I will, Eric, do you have a phone number contact for that project manager?
Yeah, I've got several numbers. I'll have to get, Matt is the head guy, and I'll give that number to you if you wanna talk to him.
Yes, if you would please forward that to me, and then I will, ask Miss Ripley to do what she does so well, and that is to remind me to go down to the site itself and, take a look at that, and I will also get a hold of, maybe Mr. Irvis could, meet me down there one morning and, take a look at things and, collect some photos and, try to collect that evidence that Mr. Heller suggests.
Okay, if there's no other questions on that, we'll go to the update on the closure of the storage yard.
All right, I just have something to bring out there. We've gotten a number of requests at the Dom building through phone calls, people wanting to know when the storage yard is gonna be open. As we know, it's open 2 Fridays a month. At the initial outbreak, we closed the storage yard out of an abundance of caution, but I feel like we could open the yard, and I talked to Darren Mills earlier today, and he agreed on the 24th with the caveat that the city workers would direct people where to unload their debris and whatnot that they'd be bringing, but wouldn't be helping them to unload it, as to reduce the amount of contact that our workers were having with residents. Mr. Mills, do you want to speak to that and talk about whether or not you're comfortable with that?
Yes, Mayor, after talking to you today, I just spoke with the guys, everybody's on board, so, that's what we wanna do, that's fun stuff.
All right, thank you very much to Mr. Bratton, you're the chair of this committee. Anybody else have any questions about that moving forward?
Yeah, well, this is Gary, I'd like to ask something.
Go ahead.
Rather than have our guys down there directing people, would we be better off to just get one of the officers, not the police officer, but one of our renters, and put them down there at the gate, and I could direct them back to where it's going, and let them dump it, and he'd be clear away from them, we'd still have our guys to do other jobs. Rather than having a guy or two sit down there all day just directing, we could have one of the renter cops and put one of them down there, it'd be a lot cheaper.
So you're saying put an auxiliary officer there at the gate to direct people?
Yes, and then our guys wouldn't have to be down there, Darren could have them doing something a little more important at this time.
Chief Ellemeyer, do you have any issue with having an auxiliary officer to help with that on the 24th?
I just have to see if there's anybody available.
Okay.
Also, as long as it's not a problem with the union.
Okay.
With their situation on the laborers end.
Okay. Well, Chief Ellemeyer, I don't know if you could have heard him on the line or not, but he said that it's not necessarily a problem from his end, as long as it's not going to be a issue concerning the laborers and the and a union issue. I know, Darren, you probably can't speak for everybody, but do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I can only speak for myself on there, but I don't have an issue with this stuff. And I don't believe any of my guys do.
All right, well, doesn't cause me any issue either. It's fine with me, so we will, unless somebody has no objection to that, we'll move forward with it in the way that Alderman McComb suggests.
What's the time frame on that?
I don't have any problem with that whole thing is, if we're gonna have a, security person down there, I think they need to be instructed to, check their driver's license so we get an address when they are in Murphysboro residence.
I believe, Mr. Mills, don't the people that are able to use that have a sticker now that, is visible on the vehicles as they arrive?
That's correct, Mayor, and every, that has the ability to use does have a sticker.
Okay, good.
Alright, that takes care of that. Are there any other questions on that?
Yeah, this is John. I guess my only question or concern is just somebody at the gate, you know, they kind of point, you know, go down to there. I mean, there's quite a space there where people can, you know, dump in the wrong place or whatever without someone else sort of directing them actually where to put it. So, I mean,
Well, we
you almost need, it's like you almost need two people.
I guess I'll go to Darren Mills on that. Darren, do you think that in that kind of situation that later you'd be able to make sense of it by, you know, having somebody down there for a few hours with a backhoe to move things around if you needed to?
Yeah, I think it's good. I know in the past we have had some areas roped off that we were keeping people out of. We could do the same thing with that and just have a designated area to dump it.
Okay, well, maybe that'd be the best way to do it, is just to make the situation where things are roped off a little bit more clear where things are supposed to, go. Alderman Urbis, do you think that would help to, alleviate that concern?
Yes, I would. You know, usually there's already a bunch of plastic bags, you know, yard waste bags, you know, where people are supposed to do it, but, you know, if they decide to dump it somewhere else, the person at the gate can't, you know, run and chase them down, you know, it's just gonna be I could see it being a problem. But yeah, if it's more clear where they're supposed to go, then that should probably cover it.
All right, Mr. McComb, do you have something?
Yeah, if, push come to shove down there, Darren will have somebody go down there for a while of the morning to show them. I can get with Darren and spend a few hours down there, that Friday morning and kind of direct some people where to go. Help Darren roof it off or whatever Darren needs to help him out.
All right, very good. Thank you for that.
Mayor, this is Gloria. Also, I was thinking maybe not allowing more than 2-3 cars at a time because social distancing, the safety and everything. So that would be other thing. I know that not everybody will go at the same time, but it always happens.
I think we could instruct the auxiliary officer that if someone is in the holding area dropping off materials, that if another car came, there's enough driveway there that they could just tell them to pull down 20 or 30 feet and stage there and wait till the other person has left before they go in to unload their materials. I think that's certainly a good point you make, but I think that they could manage it that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there is no new business, is there any public comment? If not, we'll come out of public works. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Brad. That takes us to public safety, Chairman Officer. I seem to be getting a lot of feedback. Can everybody hear me?
I can now.
Okay, very good. I think we're back to good call quality now. So that takes us to public safety, chaired by Mr. Russell Brown. Russell? I'm not sure if Russell is still on the line. Russell, are you still on the line with us?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, we got a discussion. Go ahead and give it where, did you find out anything else about it?
Well, the only thing that I know about it is that the county board chairman sent me an email this week, and it said that they had gotten a response back from their insurance company and that there would be, you know, more communication later. And it was sort of a cryptic communication. I couldn't tell much from it. So that was really all that I heard. Chief McBride, you've been monitoring this
I received a call from Joey Summers, owner of the building, and, he was waiting on some documentation from, the county's attorney that would state that they were not going to do any, further shoring up of their building, and, they understood that that might place it in peril or whatever. As soon as he received that, they were gonna go ahead and proceed with the demolition of the rest of, the Gillenberg building.
Thank you for that update, Chief.
You wanna keep that on the agenda or just wait till something happens?
Well, I would like to keep it on the agenda just because it's an eyesore and it's a liability, and I'm just really frustrated with the county and with the insurance companies and all of that wrangling around. They're not treating it like an issue that needs to be solved. They're all just treating it like some liability to be avoided, and in the meantime, it's just continuing to sit there like a rotted tooth in the middle of town. And it's too bad that they're not, in my opinion, taking it more seriously than they are. But I don't need to go on about it any more than that. But I would like to keep it on the agenda because it seems like our conversations may be the only thing moving anything forward.
Okay. Other thing on our old business discussion regarding the old parking on John Street. Darren, what'd you do about that?
Currently, Russell, I had spoke with the mayor and left it the way it was time until the council decides something different.
Okay. Fine.
Russell? Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
WJ.
Mr. Pittman, go ahead.
So Darren, when we put the signs up, did we do John Street both east and west of 6th Street, or just west of 6th Street?
That was
Darren, I think you said something, but I don't think it came through.
okay. It was from 8th Street over to 7th Street is where the sign.
Right.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I thought when we passed this the first time, we were just talking about doing John Street from 7th Street east to the dead end. That was the picture we had of it. We didn't say anything about from 7th to 8th, but, you know, I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
I had the other impression that we were doing John Street from 7th to 8th and not from John Street east to the dead end.
Well, I know that Darren did what was outlined in the request photographically as he compared the photos to the landscape as he was putting out the signs. Is that right, Darren?
Yes, sir. That's what we did.
It was sort of my opinion that I felt we just had moved pretty quickly on that, but it seems that, there's been no complaint about the placement of the signs, and so, until there is, I suppose we can stick with what we've done unless one of the aldermen had heard from somebody otherwise.
This is Gary. Well, I just heard from one person that lived between 7th Street and 8th Street. And that's all I heard from was one person that lived down there.
And were they opposed or in favor?
They were opposed because I think they park in the street once in a while.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the only complaint I've heard.
Okay.
Mayor, this Alderman Bratton, I was under the same impression that, Alderman McComb was. I thought it was the east side of John Street, 7th Street, but whatever. Maybe I was wrong too.
Well, Well, like I said, Darren fulfilled the request as it was brought to the council by the resident, and so I would say that we take it off the agenda until we hear some formal communication of opposition or willingness to change it or whatever. Uh, I don't really know what else to say about it.
Mayor, do we still have the original picture that was brought to the council?
I know that I do in one of my old council packets, and I'm sure that we probably have a copy of it at the Dom building also.
I'd like to see that, and if, I'm like Danny, I was confused, I guess, but I thought it was going east, back where, is it one of the boss lives back there? It was going back to the dead end street. But, I'd like to see that.
I don't believe it was, because I think the person who wrote the letter, actually owns the property that is the field on the south side of John Street, going from 7th to 8th. And they, I believe, own that field and maybe that house up on the hill on 8th Street. But I talked to a couple of residents that live on the east side of 7th Street, and none of them are looking to make that no parking on the street there. They all seem okay with it. There's really only 2 houses that it would affect on that.
All right, Russell, that'll be available up at the Dom building if people want to review it, but beyond that, I think we should move on to the other items in our agenda here.
Okay. Next item, consideration of ordinance amending chapter 30 of public safety. You want to speak to that or you want to eat it?
I turn that over to Mr. Heller for his consideration. Attorney Heller, are you still on the line?
Mayor, I'm here, I'm sorry, I had my mute button on.
That's all right. I turn this item over for your consideration.
We have drafted the ordinance that you have before you. It brings our ordinance up to date with the state statute. There are a number of minor changes of names and that of agencies, but the basic part of the change here is that we amend our ordinance so that you have as mayor the authority to make declarations up to 7 days, and you can redo and redo and redo 7 days at a time. And to also provide that our council, by their action, can provide for designations of emergencies for any duration that they decide. That's forth with state statute. So I think that brings us right where we need to be. Also, we put into our definition of things for which you can have an emergency is a catastrophic spread of infectious disease.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heller, for bringing us up to date on that. And of course, the ordinance he's talking about is our disaster declaration ordinance, and I think that we should adopt those changes so that we are more in line with the latest state level language.
Well, let's all I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion for Mr.
Can I have one item first here, Will? This is Pearson.
Yes, certainly.
In case the mayor can't do this, does the mayor pro tem take over in that case? Okay, that's all I need.
All right, I believe we had a motion from Mr. McComb and a second from, I believe, Ms. Hughes. And then I turn it over to Clerk Hunziker for a roll call vote.
Alderman Hughes,
Yes.
Alderman Curry Witzman,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Alderman Pearson,
Yes.
Alderman McComb,
Yes.
Alderman Irvis,
Yes.
Alderman Bratton,
Yes.
Alderman Bastian,
Yes.
Alderman Campos,
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Turn it back over to Mr. Brown.
Okay, we don't have anything on the new business. Have any public comments?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
We can? Can you state your name for the record, please?
Yeah, my name is Lindsay Parker. And so I live on the corner of South 19th Street and Edith. And I was just calling because I was wanting to know what we could do as far as possibly getting like a stop sign on that block. There's a stop sign on Spruce and Division, and between the two, people will just drive so fast between those two stop signs, if they even stop. And with it being warmer, there's more kids out.
We're still live here, though.
So I didn't know what a process could be to get either a stop sign or a yield sign, something to get the traffic to slow down.
Well, thank you for that comment, Lindsay. We have Chief Police Elmeyer here in the council chambers, and he said he will go take a look at that situation, and we will try to run some extra patrols there so we can get some evidence in our hands of exactly what you're talking about, and then we'll put that on the agenda for our coming meeting and be able to consider it for action at that time. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, he can even sit in my driveway if he would like to kind of hide. That would be great. Because it is really ridiculous how quick they drive through there.
Well, if you would like to just email me at mayor@murphysboro.com, and if you'd send me your address and contact information, then I can forward that on to the police chief, and then he can contact you directly and maybe even talk to your dog there.
Sounds great.
All right, thank you very much. Is that all that you had to, is that the extent of your public comment, Lindsay?
It really is. It's just with so many kids out riding bikes and stuff, I just feel like it's
If I may,
dangerous for 'em.
I'm one of the other neighbors. My name is Jerry Reichert, and I wanted to point out that we have a lot of foot traffic that it's very dangerous. They walk in the street to go to Farm Fresh, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that street, but it's a very heavily driven street because of Farm Fresh, and we've had so many children in the road there because of the sidewalks are not very good. So it's just really dangerous. So, but a stop sign would definitely help.
I used to live on Division Street at 1913 Division, and so I am pretty familiar with the neighborhood. I used to live at 1913 Division Street, so I'm pretty familiar with the neighborhood and the issues you're talking about there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Reichert.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? Not that all public safety will come out of that and go to personnel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. We'll go to personnel, chaired by Ms. Barbara Hughes. Alderman Hughes, are you still on the line?
I'm talking away and have you muted, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Under personnel right now, Mayor, we have no old business, no new business, and then is there any public comment on, personnel? Hearing none, I guess we can get out of that, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. That takes us into the mayor's report. I'm not sure, do we have anybody on the line from Blankenship Engineering this evening?
Yeah, this is Ted Beggs, I'm on.
Ted, I don't suspect that we have anything new to report with all of this COVID outbreak. I doubt we've had any meetings with Mr. Rubel as he's in one of the vulnerable populations.
No, we have not met with Mr. Rubel yet.
Mr. Heller, do you have anything on this item?
Mayor, yes, I do. Harold is going to contact the owners on the east side of the issue and get a determination. Blankenship has a new design. It impacts the people on the east side greater. They're going to explore the question with them now as to whether they can live with that while this COVID-19 is going on. Hopefully we can know where those people will be at. We can go back to Charlie as soon as we get back to Charlie.
All right, thank you very much for that update, Mr. Heller. Are there any questions or comments from the alderman regarding the Rubel flooding issue? All right, hearing none, I would just also like to add that obviously many of us have seen the continuing work at the hotel site at 13 and 127 and the highway work for the new entrance there, and so that is welcome news, and I was happy to see it today. I also cannot thank Brian Manwaring and all of our police and fire and the people, the command staff throughout all of this helped to set up this call and the other calls and just to coordinate things. We've done a lot over the last month and a half to adjust what we're doing, and it only happens because we've got incredibly talented and hardworking department heads and staff members to make it all come together. And so I'm just very appreciative of them, and I want to make sure that I said that here tonight on the line. And so having said that, I will come out of the mayor's report and go to council member requests, and I will start by going to Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to thank you and Ryan and that whole group that does the teleconference every morning and our updates. We have to be so proud of our first responders that are out there on the front line all the time, and the public works people, all the employees of the city who are out there keeping this city running as smoothly as it can through this pandemic. And I just give them kudos, and please know that you are all in my prayers and my thoughts. And I'd like to read you 2 Timothy 1:7. The Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but it gives us power, love, and self-discipline. And I think we have to follow that every single day through this. But I thank all of you, especially you, Mayor, for what you're doing to keep the community together.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. I appreciate those very timely remarks. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll go to Ms. Curry-Witzman.
I don't have anything, but I also would like to just second what Ms. Alderman Hughes said as well. Thank you guys for just continuing to work diligently and work hard and keeping the constituents in the city of Murphysboro going, especially during these difficult and new untrodden territory at times.
Thank you very much, Ms. Curry-Witzman. I'll go to Mr. Brown, Alderman Brown. Russell, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you very much. I'll go to Alderman Pearson.
Yeah, Mayor, I don't really have any comments except I was out today running down 707 North Street, but I'd kind of like to check on in Gary's department. You may want to look into that tomorrow. That's all I have. Besides the fact that I do thank all of you guys, you and Ron especially, for how much work you've done, and the police, the fire chiefs, and all the guys in the city that have done so well keeping this thing out of Murphysboro so far. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pearson. I appreciate you keeping an eye on those details. That's a good catch there, so thank you for that. I'll go to Mr. McComb.
I'll go out on North Street and look at that tomorrow, and probably if we were no lamb when we was trimming on that tree, they probably would have took it to the ground. They will do that in places so don't ever have to come back and trim it. I'll check and see what's going on. And the other thing, I invite anybody to drive to our cemeteries now and look at the job the Kohls are doing. They've really done it. It took them 2 mows to get it up from not being mowed last year. But that's all I have. I have nothing else. I thank all the city workers.
Thank you very much, Mr. McComb. I appreciate that. I'll go to Mr.
Oh, Will, this is Bill again.
Yeah.
This is Bill again. I would second what Gary. I rode by the cemetery. It looks better than it has in years. So I hope we made a good choice there. So far, it looks really great. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Pearson and Mr. McComb. With that, I'll go to Mr. Bastian.
Yes, I'm here, Mayor. I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for all your hard work, and be safe out there, and I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Bastian. I'll go to Mr. Brett.
I can second what most of them have already said about thanking everybody, and let's not forget Public Works. The guys been out there taking care of stuff, and Tim's on top of stuff, and Darren, guys are pouring a lot of concrete and the sewer plant. They've got their pumps hooked up, and that we had to have replaced, and there are other parts of it. And 17th Street Barbecue on Walnut Street seems to have a lot of action. Boston's in there doing, looks like heat. We've had plumbers in there doing work, and also Samron Asphalt Plant. If you haven't been down 7th Street, you need to drive north on it and look over to the east. It's quite a project going along. They're making really good time. So everybody be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bratton. I appreciate that. I will go to Mr. Irvis.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have one question, and then a comment. On the news last night, there were some reports about the percentage of people that have been answered the census so far. Do we have any statistics on Jackson County?
I was just on a conference call this morning with the official from the Chicago office of the census, and they have put out some statistics on Jackson County, and I'm happy to report that one of the census tracts that represents the downtown and mostly eastern side of Murphysboro has a near 70% response rate already. There was another census tract that wasn't doing quite as good, but I'm going to send out to the city council a link to an interactive map where you can see down to the neighborhood which blocks have responded and which have not. So continue to try to champion that, and that's what I know about it.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate your leadership and the daily updates you're providing on Facebook. A lot of comments that I've heard when I've been out. I've heard a lot from people that really appreciate getting those updates. I will echo the statements of another alderman about the city chiefs and officials and all the staff really going up beyond the call of duty to get through this. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, John. I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that you and the rest of the aldermen are doing as well. I'll go to Ms. Campos.
Thank you, Mayor. And actually, we are just blessed to live in Murphysboro and have this tremendous leadership and first responders. That's all I have to say. We all do a little bit help with the crisis that we're living right now. Nobody will have guessed that we were going to live uh, this is ancient time, and we are in the middle of it. And we'll try to make the best out of everything. One little quick question. I'm so sorry, and you know me. But you know that they have been on the sales of flowers and stuff like that, not essential. What about charcoal? Do we as a city have any say on that, or we just have to accept what they decide up there that is not good for us? That's all. I'm troublemaker, but we're blessed anyhow.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Ms. Campos, for those uh, kind words and for that suggestion. We'll continue to monitor what the governor's orders are and how they impact the retail outlets. That takes me to Mr. Pittman.
I've got nothing, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, WJ. I believe that takes me through all of the aldermen, and so I'll go to council or department head items at this time. And so we'll go first to Chief McBride.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Go to Ms. Volley.
I have nothing, thank you.
Go to Mr. Mills.
I have nothing, Mayor. Thanks.
Go to Ms. Ripley.
I have nothing.
Go to Mr. Lee.
Nothing.
Go to Mr. Kennedy.
I have nothing.
Go to Attorney Heller.
Feels good to be in the,
Appreciate that. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Heller. Appreciate that very much. Go to Mr. Evans.
Yes, I do have one thing. I'm glad Alderman Urbis brought up the census because I was going to talk about that if he hadn't. And I just want to remind everybody how vitally important that is. So if there's anything we can do to spread the word, to provide links or anything to their website for completing the census for people in our town, we should do everything we can. It's really a simple process, honestly, to do the online version of that. So, if that means we put reminders in the water bills or things of that nature, I think we should try to do everything we can to up that census number.
I think putting a reminder in the water bill is a great suggestion, and so if Ms. Ripley could remind me to get with Ms. Volley to coordinate something to be placed in there as a reminder, I think that would be a very good suggestion, so we will do that. It doesn't cost us anything, and it gets us quite a bit.
Yes.
Anything else, Mr. Evans?
Oh, that's all. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Manwaring.
I just want to echo everybody else's thanks for all the department heads that have been assisting in the morning conference calls and the efforts of all our employees and the council members that have been participating in it. It's certainly a group effort. I appreciate everyone's assistance.
Thank you very much, Brian. You're doing a great job. It's appreciated by everybody I know. Have I left anyone out? Did I miss anybody in terms of department heads that are on the line? I know Mr. Gladson was off today. I don't know if he's on the call or not.
I'm here. I have nothing. I'd just like to say everybody try to stay safe and healthy.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Pat. I'm sorry to have not called you out earlier in the meeting.
All right.
What about Mr. Biggs?
I'm sorry. Was there someone else?
This is Alderman Bratton. What about Mr. Biggs?
Oh, yeah, Ted Beggs from JTV.
Yes, I have nothing to.
All right, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'd entertain Chief Ellenmeyer is sitting there right next to me. Of course, I don't have him written on my list, so he says he has nothing to add.
I do.
Ms. Clerk Hunziker has something to add.
Alderman McComb, if you find, after you go look at that tree, if you wanna give me a call, I can contact the forestry supervisor about it. On North Street, that tree on North Street.
Mr. McComb, did you hear that? I think Mr. McComb may have already left us. Well, we will coordinate.
I was gonna say, Mayor, he's left the call already.
All right, well, very good. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Alderman Brett.
Alderman Bastian, also concur.
All right, show Bratton with the motion, Bastian with a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.